build it. He will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Wednesday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. We got Big Elk head coach Zach Maynard coming on here at about, normally he gets here about 9:45 to finish up the show, talking about the task at hand, which is going out to the Texas Panhandle and facing off against the juggernaut offense that is the Canadian Wildcats. A 55-piece in both Canadians' games so far. And I know that first one, they had 49 of them in the first half down at Seminole. So a tough ask. If anybody watched that game last year, it was an unbelievably exciting game between the Elks and the Wildcats that the Elks snuck out with the W in overtime. So we'll talk to him coming up here in just a little bit. College football, the AP poll was released. Any surprises to you? Who's too high? Who's too low? And then who's right? Who's in the spot they need to be right now, but you don't think that's where they'll be in November? Could be good or bad. Or, somebody that you're not going to sit here and say, they're too low or, they're too high. They're properly ranked right this second, but you don't think that's where they're going to end up. Let's see. Have you seen that the Manning cast is getting a third host? Have you not seen those commercials yet?
No.
Of their auditions?
No.
Oh, they're great
good.
commercials.
That sounds funny.
Who do you think it's going to be? And why are they messing with perfection?
Well, I mean,
why are they doing
that?
Unless, it's got to be, I think I know who it's going to be.
You do?
I think there's an obvious choice to fit right in with Eli and Peyton. But I hope it doesn't ruin it, because that was, I know we probably differ a little bit in our opinions of that. I think it's phenomenal. Travis Kelce, tough break for the Chiefs. Looks like he's not going to be able to play at least this week. And we might be able to, just give us another chance for Mahomes to show how ridiculous he is, I know for our fantasy team, Possum and I's fantasy team, we were playing against Travis Kelce, so that probably helps if he can't go. But then also we have Jerick McKinnon. That has to help there, right? The running back out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I would imagine his usage goes up without Kelce in the game, with as much as they like to throw it to him out of the backfield. So there's that with Travis Kelce, the Chiefs trying to sign Chris Jones. There's a bunch of stuff going on with the champs, at least right now in the early season. And then, Jared, for the first time since April 8th, something is the case. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That is 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text, talk about any of those things. Whatever else might be on your mind, feel free to chime in at 225-9698. Will's thinking exactly how I'm thinking on the text line with who it could be. They're joining the Manning cast. If you're going to be outside the listening area one of these days, you want to stay in touch with us live, you can do that a couple of ways. Log on to kadsam.com, or I would download the app. It's free. It's got everything. Radio, Penny News, brand new edition of that Penny News hit the website last night at midnight. Check it out at thepennynews.com. Be able to pick up a free copy of the Penny News, certain locations tonight. By tomorrow morning, you can go check out that free Penny News. Big Elk and Paragon TV also there. We can watch high school football, high school basketball when that rolls around, right there at your fingertips. And then, of course, if you missed the show, Skinny on Sports podcast is available. You can go back and hear each and every one of those if you missed it. Hi, Jared.
How are you?
Oh, man, you know what? I'm pretty good. It was a good night last night to wear the brown and white
Yeah.
on the middle school / junior high football field.
How'd they do?
Went over to Weatherford on Woody Roof Field.
Oh, they went to Weatherford. Okay.
Went to Weatherford on Woody Roof Field. Weatherford kind of had an idea that they were going to be big just because, like playing basketball, like in the Clinton League,
Sure. Yeah.
and they were huge.
Got some size. Yeah.
They got some big old dudes. So you had a feeling the football team was going to be the same way, and they were. They had a bunch of big guys to the tune of, so the 7th grade team kicks off to start the game, and they don't touch the football till the second quarter. Weatherford ran the entire first quarter out.
Wow.
And scored. They didn't get the 2-point conversion, so it was 6-0. And then the Elks finally got the ball, and about two or three plays later, DeCure was in the end zone from, 65 yards out, something like that. So, and the Elks did get it, so it was 8-6. Then right at the end of the first half, I'm talking about DeCure scores from like 90.
Oh, wow.
Time has expired.
Yeah.
We snapped it with like 3 seconds left on the in the second quarter, and he goes 90 to make it 14-6. Weatherford would score toward the end, but they did not get the 2-point conversion. So the 7th graders win 14-12.
Fun.
And then the 8th grade won like 28-0. So both 7th and 8th grade teams 2-0 on the early season. Now it was intense. The end of the game. So Weatherford scores with 2.5 minutes left, something like that, maybe. Maybe in that range. 3, just below 3. And they score. They go for the onside kick. The Elks recover it. First play, get like a 20-yard run. But we fumble.
Oh dear.
Weatherford gets it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this always happens over here. And,
you can't blame the refs on that one.
Well, I'll get to that.
Well, was he down or what?
No.
Okay.
No, it was definitely a fumble. Now then it was either it might have been the next play, one of the next couple plays. The quarterback from Weatherford throws it up, and we get an interception. Chase, Mr. Sparks' son, Chase, gets the interception.
Oh, cool.
And then you're for sure thinking, okay, game's over. Because at that point, there is like under 2 minutes. Just, don't do anything crazy. Well, so Weatherford did have a timeout. They call it after the second down play. So there's like 50 seconds left, 52 seconds left, I think is what it actually was.
Okay.
Snapping it on third down. And there's really not a play clock. Really. So you can just run a play, waste a little time, game's over.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't as the ball was snapped. It was clearly before the ball was snapped. Weatherford's dude right by the ball just jumps across the line, knocks it away. Fumble. It was offsides.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly.
No flags, nothing?
No flags.
Oh, come on.
So they get it. They recover it. And then on the very next play, I know it was the first play next time, with like 40 seconds left, they throw it, and our man Raziah intercepted it to seal the game.
I like it. Nice.
No, it was fun. The 7th grade game was intense. That's why I even said when he got home, man, that was intense playing them. They were good. They were big. Yeah, well,
get used to that, Wyatt.
Just a little taste of that one.
Get used to that rivalry.
No, it was fun.
Yeah.
They were totally evenly matched teams.
Well, that's good. It's what you want. It's fun.
But it was a good time. Now we'll see what the Woodward go up there next Tuesday. Jared,
awesome.
I bet you know the answer to this question.
I'd rather not talk about it, but let's go ahead.
For the first time since
rip the Band-Aid here.
What is it? For the first time since April 8th, what has happened?
Rangers are out of the playoffs.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, gas is out of the tank. Good run there, Rangers.
It's I actually heard Jim,
I almost prefer them to break my heart in April than in September, but whatever. Go ahead.
I actually heard this conversation happening yesterday on these airways. A Ranger fan, such as yourself, was upset about how things have turned.
Well.
And Jim was like, listen, you're still like a year or two away. Like, what I mean?
Right.
Like
this wasn't supposed to happen this year.
Right,
yeah.
right. And so, but here's the thing, though. when you're in the moment, as you are right this second, that's a pretty hard perspective
It is.
to have when you've played so well for so long, and then you pretty well talk yourself into the fact that, hey, we're going to make the playoffs. Even if we don't win the division, we're still going to make the playoffs. And then now all of a sudden you look up with, 20 games left or so, and the Rangers are out of it for the first time, literally since the first of the season.
Yeah. And you never know what could happen between now and then. I'm trying to be optimistic about it. And you're right, this is a year or two ahead of schedule, which should excite you if you're a Ranger fan. I'm going to be very optimistic here. And then with the bullpen woes that we're about to talk about, that just shows you, okay, they went and they took care of the starting situation, clearly. The bats, they obviously went cold in these last, 20 games or so, but it'll work itself out. But now in the offseason, winter meetings, all that stuff, this is what we got to work. We got to replenish the bullpen. We got to find some guys who quit blowing saves and some quality guys to pull out of the bullpen. Which I think with the head office, it's clear that they are in a win-now mentality and that they will be very proactive in the offseason. But there's still a little bit of a season left. You don't know what could happen.
Oh, no, and here's the good thing.
I mean, feather in the cap for the season, somehow sneak in the playoffs, you never know. But that's like that blows everybody's preseason expectations out of the water. A lot of people on this team maybe pick third in the West. Now behind Houston and the Angels, and then the Rangers. Well, here come the Mariners out of nowhere. The West has been incredibly fun, top heavy with those three teams, with the Rangers, Mariners, and Houston. So I hope that continues. It kind of feels like the AL East in their heyday, when it was so heavy top to bottom, and you never know with the Angels either. The Athletics are a dumpster fire. I don't see them being relevant for another 10 years. It's exciting if you're a Ranger fan. They're in this. It's not tank mode and draft high and see what we can get. It's win now.
Yeah.
And and Arlington's becoming a cool place to play out with the new stadium. So I'm really anxious to see in the offseason what free agency looks like. Namely, obviously Ohtani is what everyone's clamoring for in every major league city. But who else could they get? I mean, they went and got DeGrom last year. They went and got Scherzer before the trade deadline. I love that attitude of go get the guys now, make them want to come here because we're preaching these guys. We're in a win now mentality.
Next week or so, we'll decide. I think we'll kind of decide where they end up because you got one final game with Houston today. Then you get the A's for 3 at home, and then you go to Toronto for 4. And Toronto and the Rangers are right there battling for that final one. I mean, everybody's really pretty close at the end of the day. I mean, it's only a half a game separating out being in and being out. So it is going to come down to the end. But the problem for you, 4-14 in your last 18, and the bullpen in those games is 4-8 with a 6.69 ERA. They've given up 54 earned runs and 72 2/3 innings. And here's the crusher. 2 for 12 in save opportunities in that time. Giving up 20 home runs and walked 34 guys in 72 innings.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Numbers Man. I don't think I really need to hear that. They're bad. I get it. We don't need to really break it down how bad they are.
It's pretty amazing, though, when you see
hand
those
me that
numbers.
Beer bat behind you.
When you actually see the numbers, it's like, whoa. Now, I mean, they're bad because you feel like the leads slip all the time.
That's the I think that's, for me as a fan, as the most heartbreaking or soul-crushing thing about it is you can look or you can tune into the game and boom, they're up 4-0. Okay, in a typical baseball game, but in the back of Rangers fans' minds, that's lead's not safe.
Yeah.
It hasn't been. It hasn't.
I mean,
the bullpen needs some work.
I've been seeing tweets like, I'm not even a Rangers fan, and that bullpen makes me nervous. Like, it's just been that bad.
Yeah.
And so, there's the clear target to work on in the offseason, but don't give up. Don't ever give up. There's still time to turn this thing around and make it into the
Yeah.
playoffs. Travis Kelce looks like nothing's official, but it sure doesn't look like he's going to be playing tomorrow night in the season opener for the Chiefs against the Lions. I'm not ready to panic if I'm a Chiefs fan just yet.
But let's talk like we should, because I want to make these Chiefs fans really nervous about tomorrow.
I mean, tomorrow isn't, I think, the end-all, be-all. It's the fact that it sure looks like he'll be back pretty soon. But when you look up, at least for tomorrow night, 2 of the best 3 players the Chiefs have aren't going to be there. With Kelce and then with Chris Jones still in contract dispute with the team.
Oh, I just got breaking news.
Oh, you did?
Ooh, looks like, wow, Patrick Mahomes might be
Oh,
out.
you're messing around.
I'm just trying to really get those Chiefs fans nervous.
To me, this is everyone loves the Lions. From last year on Hard Knocks.
Well, everybody loves an underdog.
And they seem like one of those teams that's getting better. But I got to tell you, if they really are a team that can challenge or even win the NFC North, shouldn't they go win this game? If Kelce and Jones really don't play, shouldn't they go win this game?
If a lot of people think they should challenge for that division. Now, why do people think they should challenge that division?
Nobody's really sure if the division's any good.
Exactly. Right. So, yeah, they should win that division because those other teams have maybe taken a step back. And Detroit they went on they started slow last year but got good. So if they can continue that. But I'm not writing them off if they lose by 2 touchdowns tomorrow. Because division versus division, Kansas City would blow through that division. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I do, no doubt.
But I do want to see life out of Detroit. I don't want to watch them and go, well, there's those Lions again that we're used to this. We want to watch go, okay, they answered the opening touchdown drive by a touchdown drive of their own. These guys can play.
Yeah, I just think if they really are the cream of the NFC North crop,
I see what you're saying.
A lot of people, I think everybody gets bored or is getting bored and pretty quickly, really, out of
Kansas City and their
no. Of the Vikings.
Well, you're waiting for that Jenga tower to fall over
because they won so many of those close games last year, so many. And the natural inclination is to look for that can't happen again. They're going to come back to reality, and so if 3 or 4 of those games don't go their way, and a couple of them, that Bills game was ridiculous that they won that one.
Right. I remember watching
that was a crazy ending. So you're always looking for who it is, and I think Detroit, because of how much people liked them on Hard Knocks last year, is an easy choice, and then you're not sure what Jordan Love is. You're not sure Justin Fields, is he or isn't he? Detroit is the easy choice there, I think, for a lot of people to kind of gravitate toward. Mm-hmm. And if that is, I think they have to go win this game without Chris Jones and without what looks to be without Travis Kelce. So the Manning cast. There's going to be a third host coming up on Monday Night Football.
And you think you know who it is?
I do,
or who it should be.
I think there's only one person it should be, right?
You think it's Brady?
Tom Brady, 100%.
Did he sign a deal with ESPN? Didn't he sign that before?
Seemed like he had something.
They had something lined up for him. I couldn't remember. I knew it was something in broadcasting. I didn't know if it was something like with ESPN or CBS or something.
I'm sure it was to be a game analyst.
And I'd assumed that he was going to go like the Tony Romo route.
Exactly.
And so I was expecting to see him in the practice booth like you saw Tony Romo in that first season before his first season of broadcasting, that preseason. He would up in a practice booth. And there's Tony Romo practicing for his new career. Turns out he was really good. I didn't see any of that this year for Tom Brady. But Fox Sports is what we're being told.
Yeah, I think that's right. I was going to say it's Fox because
can he cross over? Can
no,
he do that?
He can't. Probably not.
Well, I have someone in mind.
Who?
Well, Pat McAfee kind of screams that.
Oh God, I hope not.
Because of his antics.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's what feels like he would fit into something like that.
Yeah, next year.
A little bit more free will to say whatever he wants.
The Fox guy next year.
So he's
replacing Greg Olson.
Taking a year off.
And I like Olson. Yeah, so that probably can't actually happen.
Yeah. Someone on the text line said Gronk.
I'd rather have Gronk than Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee would almost literally be my last choice for this job.
Well, he's already
an ESPN guy.
An ESPN guy.
He punted when Peyton was at Indianapolis with the Colts, so they're probably
there's a
he's not that
there.
He's not that idiot kicker that missed the field goal, Mike Vanderjagt, in the playoffs that year.
That'd be my guess. When are they going to announce this?
It's got to be before Monday.
Maybe they just unveil it on Monday during
Maybe
the
so.
show.
Maybe they do. You're probably close. You're probably right. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I hate to burst your bubble there.
Am I going to have to start watching the real broadcast?
Yeah, like a real person does.
No.
I like the real broadcast. I like the Mannings.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm like, can we stop it with the picture-in-picture stuff, and can we just watch the game?
I mean, there was nothing better than the very first Manning cast ever last year when the Broncos were screwing up the end of the clock. How many times did Peyton hit his hands going, timeout? We need a timeout here. Call. You can tell he wanted to really, really cuss. Eli flipped double birds at the camera. I mean, it was just awesome. Don't ruin it, ESPN. But when's the last time they haven't ruined anything?
Well, good point. Yep. Anywho.
Pat McAfee.
Sorry.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp was pounding vodka. That happened too.
Yep.
Lots of fun on the Manning cast. AP Top 25 came out yesterday after the first long week of college football. Anything surprise you when you looked at the poll?
I'll be honest. I thought Florida State might be a little higher than 4. As good as they looked against LSU. But Alabama firmly right there at 3. I think I can be okay with that. They're really high praise for their quarterback. But others, I think it kind of falls in line. Nothing really stood out to me. How about you? I mean, maybe the way Clemson looked, so ill-prepared. Offense was horrible. But they're clinging on to that number 25 spot. There might be some argument there that maybe you should drop them out. But they were so high, that'd be a drastic fall.
Well, they went down 16 spots.
Yeah.
From 9 to 25.
I mean, suddenly you look at their schedule, and there's like a lot of iffy games if they come out looking like that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I don't know. It's probably warranted because of preseason hype. But, I saw somebody at Colorado number 9. Come on.
No, I'm comfortable where they're at 22.
Or not even in the rankings. They looked really good, and there's going to be so much. You know who is wanting the Colorado hype to continue? Fox. Because they have kind of gone all in on Colorado here to start the season, big noon kickoffs. They are wanting that Colorado train to keep rolling down the tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. I know everybody's down on Nebraska, but boy, this sure looks like a spot where Colorado's drinking the rat poison, as Nick Saban would say. This could be not the greatest spot for the Buffs coming up on Saturday.
Time is that game? It's noon.
Yeah.
Because it's big noon.
Yeah, I think so.
And you'd think Colorado, they'd want some night games early in the year to avoid the freezing temperatures. If that game was at night, oh boy, place will be going crazy.
So you've got
I
that.
see what you're saying, but I know we'll pick games probably later this week.
I mean, it was a great win. They looked really good doing it. I don't know. Florida State getting 3 first-place votes.
Yeah, see, that's where I thought maybe they could be higher. They're getting some love there.
Well, and I mean, I think people like almost took offense to that. Maybe they were just all Georgia fans, but last year, this is where I know you and I kind of differ too. You'll give a little bit of credence to the defending champion, where I don't care if their team isn't the same, then why? You know what I'm saying? If they lose a bunch of guys, and then in early season, I don't mind this poll being completely fluid with what you actually see on the field, and on the field, Florida State had by far the most impressive win.
You're doing the Barry Chernow approach.
It's just
what have you done?
What have you actually done?
Yeah.
And Florida State for sure. I mean, now, I didn't put them number 1. I put Georgia number 1. I think I had them 3, behind Michigan, and then right in front of Alabama, like you were talking about earlier. But at the end of the day, though, if you really care about what happens and what the results are, Florida State should be number 1. Just in this small window of time for this season.
I'll say this, and if you listened yesterday, you know what I'm about to say probably. As far as who is too high, maybe Ohio State. They didn't look like a top 5 team.
No, they did not.
And Penn State did. I'd almost
Penn
flipped
State,
them.
but they kind of struggled. I mean, nobody thinks West Virginia is going to be any good. And that game was 21-15 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt, at least they were at Indiana as opposed to at home. Washington looked really good against I think that name Boise is probably a little bit better than the team Boise is anymore. Notre Dame's looked awesome. Sam Hartman has looked awesome. It'll all kind of shake out. I'm actually a little bit surprised LSU fell as far as they did. 9 spots. From 5 to 14. It just doesn't seem like you see tumbles like that from SEC teams very often.
Well, there's losing bad, and there's losing bad to a really good team.
Well, and they got killed in that second half.
Yeah. But Florida State's a really good team. So
another reason why I'm surprised they went that far.
Exactly, and then the whole SEC thing. But, yeah, surprised they fell that far, too.
All right, so who do you think right now is properly ranked? But by, say, the 1st of November, you expect them to either be further down or further up. But you know what I'm saying? Like right now, that's where they're at. I'll tell you who it is for me.
Go for it.
Oregon State. I think Oregon State's pretty good.
I need to get you a Beaver T-shirt.
They won 10 games last year.
Says I love Beavers.
Well, anytime.
There's so many jokes. As long as they're relevant, we're going to keep coming up with jokes.
I think Oregon State's pretty good. I really do. And maybe North Carolina, maybe OU, maybe Kansas State. Somebody in there too. There's going to be a couple of those teams that are somewhere in that 15 to 25. Could it be A&M?
Have you looked at the playoff predictor? Did you play with that yesterday?
Mm-mm.
It's that thing that ESPN puts out, and you can click a team and put a scenario like 1 loss, or they conference champs, or their chances of getting in the playoff. Well, they put a list of their remaining games and their percentage of winning each game. And OU, after this past weekend, suddenly went to having a higher percentage of beating Texas, like 56% chance of beating Texas. The perception is now. So based on what you're saying there is they're 18 now, but by what'd you say, November 1?
Yeah.
If they do what that says, is win the games they should. A lot of them are in the 80s or even 90 percentile of actually winning, a percentage chance of winning those games. Obviously, get past Texas, and yeah, you can see them easily around the 6-5 mark.
Yeah, the FPI loves them all the way up to 4 after 1 game. Yeah, if you look at it right now, I just pulled this up. So right now, after 1 week, the 14 teams with the highest chance, Oklahoma is 4th.
Yeah.
At 36%.
A lot of that is because of that schedule we talked about.
It's the biggest part of it is because of the schedule. Because you know who's got 1% more chance according to this? Georgia. At 37%.
And their schedule is Charmin soft too.
Yeah, but Ohio State and Alabama are in the 60s.
More chances to slip up there.
I mean, no, Alabama has the best chance right now, according to this, to make the college football playoff at 63% chance.
It probably helped. I wonder what the percentage chance was of beating LSU before last weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now after seeing what LSU did, they went, hold on.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of, stat and computers and
right
and that kind of thing. But yeah, like that Florida State team we just talked about, they're 25%. So yeah, the computers love what Oklahoma did. And that's here's the deal. We'll see. We will have to wait and see, and probably until October the 7th before we really see what that is and what that could be. But they could be one of those teams. I'm not discounting that at all. And a big part of it is, as much as I didn't think the schedule was very good before last weekend, well, what happened in the Big 12 didn't make me think it's any better.
No. Absolutely not. It was horrible.
One of the games that everybody's scared to death about, if you're OU fan, is going out to BYU. They looked awful. So
I was on this morning, by the way. I was watching a little bit of that replay, and man, the little bit I watched, the refs helped out BYU. Sam Houston was in one drive.
Yeah,
there's an interception that shouldn't have been, and then Sam Houston blocked a field goal attempt, ran it all the way back, up, offsides, defense. Like, what are you talking? It was, yeah, that's why Provo scares me. That's why going to BYU scares me. Little funky things like that. But no, they didn't look dominant at all.
No.
Nobody really did outside of, obviously OU. They should
Central
look that
Florida.
good against Central Florida.
Central Florida looked really good.
They looked really good.
That's one of those that, once again, the schedule broke. Instead of Oklahoma having to go down there, Central Florida comes. John Reese Plumlee at quarterback. He's been around forever. Mm-hmm. He can do stuff. He can definitely do things.
They got a coach.
Yeah, they're an interesting team.
I'm thinking. So we just kind of answered that. Who would we think ranked where they are now, where they would be higher?
Mm-hmm.
Who is high now? Who you think will be lower? Come around November 1st. I have one in mind.
Okay. Who?
Tennessee. There's a trio, maybe 4 games in a row, that if they go 3-1 in, that'd be good.
South Carolina, A&M, Alabama, and Kentucky.
Yeah. And that's all before November 1st.
I got to tell you, A&M is a candidate to be one of those teams that's properly ranked right now that could move up. Connor Wegman was awesome. They get to go to Miami. But when you look at their schedule, yeah, it's got some teams on it. But you know what?
A&M?
Yeah. They've got a bunch of them at home, at least early. 2 Tennessee, 2 Ole Miss, and then the last game of the regular season at LSU. Bama's at home, Arkansas's at home, Auburn's at home, all right in a row here. 4 games in a row after they play at Miami this week.
Who gets credit if A&M turns around? Who gets the credit? Is it Fisher or Petrino?
Oh, that's going to be exciting to find out.
And then who hires Petrino?
Maybe A&M.
Ah!
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy dynamics. We talked a little bit yesterday. There's nothing almost in college football as fascinating as what's going on up in Stillwater with the quarterback thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And kind of how that all gets sifted through and figured out with the way the Gundy played. That's That's a very, very delicate situation for young Michael.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, people are up in arms over Casey Dunn coordinating that offense. Nobody's very happy about that right about now. What I mean, that's...
We'll see. I think it's a process thing. I think they think, I don't know. Do they come off, I say they as the OSU coaching staff, as they think they're the smartest man in the room? Does that make sense? Like, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, I think they do. But this is nothing new for Gundy. It seems like when he's had choices, now this time he's got 3 instead of 2, but it does seem like when he's had choices preseason with quarterback competitions, he's chose the wrong one every time to start. Now, he does realize he did and then makes the correction. But it does seem, I mean, he's not so stubborn that he just sticks with the wrong one forever. But it does seem like he doesn't pick the right one to start. And he goes all the way back to, I mean, Bobby Reed and Zach Robinson.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of the very first one. Then, of course, Alex Cade over Brandon Whedon. I mean, that seems so ludicrous now. But that's the way it went. And there's been some others through the years as well. But this one's made even tougher because one of the 3 is his kid. It makes it even,
that's tough.
Makes it even more sticky.
That makes it easier for him to say, "Sorry, son, but I'm going this way."
Yeah, and then what happens? Then you know what happens. It's tough to go home then.
I think he still lives at home.
I'm talking about Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Gunner's
all
mom.
All he has to do is walk into that mansion and go, "I bought you this."
I don't think that's the way that works. You're talking about kids, Jared. Joined now by the head coach of the Elk City Elks, Mr. Zach Maynard. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing well.
How was your long weekend?
It was good. Got to spend some family time, and also I think got to fix some of our problems we have football-wise, and excited about, I think, where we're moving.
You know, we were just talking about the situation of quarterback up at Oklahoma State and how much harder that makes it for Mike Gundy because his son is one of those guys in that battle. Just talk about the different dynamic that throws into a coach's choice when, you know, if you don't make the one that, you know, his mom wants to make, who just happens to be your wife, that could be harder to go back home to, maybe even, if she doesn't like your choice as a coach.
Yeah, that's a tough decision. I didn't have any idea that that's what was going on in Oklahoma State. That was one game I didn't watch. Yeah, that could be a tough gig. And well, really, forget about his wife. The locker room's the one that has to be completely bought in. Is Gundy a freshman?
No.
Well, you know, I don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's a junior, I think.
I think the locker room tells you who the guy is.
Right. And be honest with you, it looked like those guys played harder for him than they did for the other 2.
Yeah, sounds like the decision may be made.
Yeah.
So on the record, the wife's opinion does not matter.
And it should if you're
for the football
about,
team.
I don't know how much money Mike Gundy's making, but I assume it's in the millions, and she should be happy.
Yeah, that's what Jared said.
They have a nice mansion. They have a nice pond, and I think she should be happy with every decision he makes.
That's what Jared said. All right, let's go back real quick. Last Thursday, it's a win, and the thing that I think struck me the most was how far this program has come in just a couple of years to where you win a game by 3 touchdowns that you really don't ever have a chance of losing, and it seems like a giant disappointment just with what we saw on the field. Just talk about where you've come from to get the expectations up to a level where, you know, a 3-touchdown win isn't good enough.
Yeah, no, going back to even that first year when I was here with Coach Meadows, just instilling a standard of play, the standard of way we do things, the standard of how we act in the community, how we act in the locker room, how we lift weights, how we practice, how we play. That standard's been there, and kudos to Coach Meadows for obviously helping, being a part of that. But, I think that the most disappointing thing for us Friday night was just the fact that just felt like we really didn't play to that standard of intensity. We've talked about that several times, and there's 100,000 reasons that I could say for the lack of playing to that standard. However, I'm the head coach. It rests solely on my shoulders, and we've done some things this week, I think, to help us put us in better situations to where we don't have to necessarily rely on certain things or certain things to happen in order for us to play to a certain standard. We're going to get back and kind of do some things that I love, ways that we play the game the right way. And so, I felt like we've had a good week of practicing. Our kids understand where we're at and understand why we're doing what we're doing. And ultimately we're excited. And I think, they've been looking forward to this game probably since the schedule came out, honestly. And so, we're excited about this one. And Canadian is really, really good. So we'll have to play really well.
Based on last week's results, is it a good thing? Was it a wake-up call for them in preparation? Like, hey, we played okay. Yeah, we won, but we can play better and we got to work harder. Has that been kind of the attitude this week?
Yeah, we just have to, it's the same thing every year this time, whether we'd have won by 50 or not, We have to get better. We have to be better offensively. We have to be better defensively. We have to be better tacklers. Have to be better in the special teams game. Have to be more disciplined as far as penalties go. I thought we were cleaned that up a little bit last week. Still have to get better in that aspect. And it's hard. You say wake up call. I think El Reno was the big wake up call, and then I thought we played really well. Physical against Altus, looked good at times, doing certain things, but still had some things to clean up, obviously. And Bridge Creek was just kind of, we've talked about pecking order in here, and when that pecking order kind of goes out the window in the first 5 minutes of warm ups Friday night, or Thursday night. It's just kind of it's just that it's a blow, and it's also a distraction, and there's all this and that, and then hey, we got Canadian, and then Carl Albert, and then then we're in district play, and knew that Bridge Creek we should win that game. The way I kind of chalk Thursday up, I'm going to chalk it up as an anomaly. Coach Maynard didn't do a great job of getting them completely prepared. They came out in a 10-1 Bill Williams defense, which is really hard to run the ball against, especially if you're not prepared for it. And I beat my head against the wall for the first quarter and a half trying to run the football when really we should have thrown it 30 times for 380 yards. However, that's just not who I am. I'm going to chalk Thursday night up to an anomaly. We're going to put it behind us, and we're going to move forward, and I think that our kids have done that.
How much of a positive is it that you do have that ability? I don't know if we could say that we've had the ability to just start slinging it around in the last couple of years. That ability came out in the middle of that second quarter, especially till halftime. Logan hit some just beautiful passes that put it in where only his guy can get it, and Cole was the guy that was grabbing a whole bunch of them. But just talk about how much of a positive it is that if you do see that, you do have something to counter it, as opposed to just kind of throwing your hands up in the air and hoping.
Yeah, I think you're going to see people won't be able to do that to us. You watch the film and you go, well, we can put 8 guys in there, 9 guys in there, and stop the run. But if we do that, I can't guarantee you that you're going to be able to cover us on the outside and on the edges, and so. And we can throw it and we can complete it, which is great. And, Logan's got a great arm, and Bowie and those guys, Jeremiah and Slade, they've all made some great catches. And I think it really makes us more explosive, like we talked about being. But it also I think you're going to see eventually it start to help the run game a lot in what we can do in the run game.
All right, Canadian. It was an awesome night last year when they came over here. A great game, comeback win. They are talented as anybody we may see at quarterback with Cameron Cavalier. Talk about the challenge that is the Canadian Wildcats and trying to hem them in when they have the ball.
Oh, they're outstanding. They return all their skilled kids. They just lost a handful of offensive linemen and defensive linemen. We're going to have to be sound in our defense. We're going to have to get lined up quickly. I think it took us 3 quarters last time we played them just to get lined up the right way and get the call. So we've prepared for that a little differently this year than we did last year. I think it's got a good chance of getting some stops. They're going to make some plays. It's like I tell our kids, they're going to make plays. There's going to be adversity, and how you respond to that will decide. It's going to decide the outcome. And so we're excited about where we're at. We're excited about the game plan. And the way it's looked the last 2 days. And we'll go out there today and obviously clean it all up and make sure it all looks good before we leave today. But they're going to be explosive. They're going to make plays. It just is what it is. We're going to have to get them on the ground and make them do it again.
Does the Oklahoma versus Texas scenario, does that excite you? Does it give you pride to say maybe we can go win one for Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think it's always interesting. Like I talked to Coach Ruff a year ago probably when we decided to schedule Canadian. He said, well, I've went out there and won some really close ball games. I've also went out there and got my tail kicked a few times. He said, but it's always fun to go see it's a different style. It's a different game. Nobody in the state of Oklahoma goes as fast as they do. And I'm watching them in Bushland. I think they all go that fast. And so it's really weird to me. And so, but I think they also feel the same way. They like playing us because they know it's going to be a different style of game. And it kind of turns into a little bit of a rivalry, where it's not necessarily rivalry like, the I-40 stuff, but more like we're so different that it's going to be a really fun Friday night. It's going to be a yin and a yang, and it'll all be completely different.
Yeah, it amazed me just first time ever to play last year how much that those guys – I mean, obviously the game was awesome, but it was almost like, all right, does old school football work or is it this new high-flying whatever? And when you both play well like we did last year, it makes for one heck of an entertaining evening because it is so much different.
Yeah, I really enjoy it, and it's awesome, and so we're relishing the opportunity. I think our kids are really excited about it, and we're just excited to get out there and play on Friday night, and hopefully it's a great game, another great game.
Health-wise, there was some guys, obviously you mentioned even in the pregame, losing a couple last week. How are the Elks looking as far as getting, 6 of those starters back for this week against Canadian?
We're going to have, obviously Tate. We got Tate Shelton back late last week, and then we have we're waiting. Actually, I got 3 of them with doctor's appointments here at about noon. So we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do, and you got to be careful this time of year. Like I said, I think back in June or July or whenever it was that these ultimately don't matter. We want to have a full deck of cards when we get to Clinton. And so we've got that first district game, and we've got to make sure that we handle business the correct way. However, when the ball goes on the field, we want to win.
We kind of glossed over the lead here in Cole Bowie. He was awesome last week. What did he eat before the game? And can you get that as a team meal or something? He was awesome on both sides of the football.
No, he's been great. And he's been great really all year. You go back to the first game, had to brag on him for just celebrating his teammates. And it's just kind of like karma. It was like, oh, hey, it's your turn now. He's been outstanding. He's an outstanding young man. He reminds me he's got a lot of Drake Hughes in him. He's got some wiggle. He's got some top end speed, and if the ball goes in the air, he's got a really good chance of making a play on it. And so that's who he's been reminding me of, and he'll come down and hit you too. So really, really, really pleased with him and where he's at, and the leadership role that he's starting to kind of, you can almost see him start pulling in followers almost, and he's becoming one of those guys. So we're excited to see that as well.
Yeah, that's the one thing it felt like, because of that pecking order we talked about. He was the one that was kind of trying to pull guys along from the very beginning. Some of them kind of went, others went, and it was pretty fascinating to watch, because I think his order may have gone up a couple of notches because he got out there and did it. And that was the thing that, some of them may have looked around and went, well, what have you done? Well, now he's got that tape out there, and then his voice probably matters a little bit more this week than it did
There's
last
always
week.
a moment in a career of high school kids that for me, I'll notice. I remember that game that kid played, and that was when he made that turn to be a leader, to be a player, to be a dude on the field, and that might have been that game for Cole last week.
If there's one thing you have got to do Friday night to come back with a win, what would it be?
Well, it's going to be more than one. We're going to have to tackle well. Defensively, we're going to get lined up and tackle really well. We're going to have to control the clock, control the football, and not turn the ball over. It's the same thing every week for us.
Right.
Tackle well, get them on the ground. If they make a play because they're going to, get them on the ground, make them have to do it again. Play mistake-free. Control the clock, control the ball, frustrate them by not letting them have the ball. I think the second half a year ago was huge when we tapped the ball for 8-9 minutes of the third quarter and going 13, 14 play drives, and they're not necessarily tired at this point, but it's like, let's just get the ball back. And so, I think that's huge. And then obviously not turning the ball over, not having negative plays and being disciplined and all those things. Because, I don't know what they're rated or ranked, but I assume that they're very, very high. And we are too. So it's going to be a great game. It's just going to be a great game. And our goal is to play as close to mistake-free as possible and play as hard as we possibly can. And whatever happens, happens. But I like our chances if we do those things.
Absolutely. Head coach Zach Maynard of the Big Elks joining us here to preview what's coming up Friday night out in the Texas Panhandle against Canadian. 6:15 pregame, 7 o'clock for us. Big Elk TV, if you can't make it out there.
They're not that far away, like an hour, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But like we talked about earlier, the differences in style, it's almost a world away, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No doubt about it. Everybody have a great Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow right here on the Skinny on Sports.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.